Okay, thank you, sweetie.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 Legislative Board meeting. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and the Statement of Acknowledgement. Ms. Loman?
We begin this meeting with acknowledgement of and honor for the many legacies that have impacted our community, particularly those buried over time. Acknowledging truth is critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. Cheltenham Township stands with the Lenape-Hokink, the ancestral homeland of the Lenni Lenape civilization. Their people were and still are caretakers of this land and its rivers, and their legacy continues. We pay respect to their elders past and present. Our community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to make the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together. As a school district committed to fostering intellectual curiosity and discourse in service of social justice, join us in uncovering such truths.
Thank you, Ms. Loman. Ms. Hatcher, could you take the roll call, please?
Good evening. Ms. Blitzstein,
Present.
Mr. Charles Cordell Williams,
Present.
Mr. Zachary X,
Present.
Ms. Daniel,
Present.
Ms. Leah Goldberg,
Present.
Robin Murphy,
Present.
Mr. Daniel Schultz,
Present.
Dr. Caroline Watts.
Present.
Ms. White.
Present.
This concludes our roll call. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hatcher. We will now have public comment on agenda items only. And as a reminder that Cheltenham residents, taxpayers, and school district employees are permitted to speak on agenda items at this time. And speakers' comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you're in the room, you may come to the podium and you will be recognized. If you are listening via Zoom, you can raise your hand and you will be recognized that way. Seeing no comments for now, we will move on to our next item, which are recognitions. Cheltenham High School is here with us tonight. Dr. Hammond? No? Yes? All right. You're up. Got to finish a little snack.
There we go. So I put together a little presentation for you guys just to give some highlights of what's going on at the high school. You can go to the next slide. Because we're meeting tonight, I thought it would be appropriate to share with you guys that our boys basketball team is playing right now at the Suburban One League Championship game against Upper Dublin at Ben Salem. So good luck to them. Thank you. And our unified bocce team made their first playoff appearance in 4 years. They played today against PW, and as I was walking in, the team called me, and Philip Cohen said, "Dr. Hammond, the kids wanted me to call and tell you they won, and they are now third place. They got third place in the league, and they will be advancing to the regional tournament." So they are ecstatic right now. Our debate club, hosted by Dr. Warren, sent 21 kids to the Model UN conference. And not only was our school awarded the outstanding delegation, but 4 of our students also won individual awards. Samira Kennerly, Lucas Nago, Camilla Mulagulera, and Tina Ramberg Michael. But I also want to emphasize on the next slide that Tina got a premier delegate. She was awarded premier delegate. She was awarded the best government research project. And out of the 1,500 students, less than 2% were named a Kona delegate. And she also got that honor. Our students are also thriving while over there at Eastern. In the most recent Skills USA district competition, 16 of our students earned an award. And to emphasize on this, the 6 first place winners that we have here also are going on to the state tournament, the state competition. And then I also have another student, Mivelyn, who was awarded she submitted a poetry entry into the 2026 Scholastics Art and Writing Awards competition, and she earned honorable mention for her piece called Stillness. Isabella Airman earned 7th chair in the PMEA District 12 choir, which is not an easy feat. And Stephanie Cleghorn, whose art you'll hear about and you'll see this evening, won judge's favorite out of the Drexel University photography contest, where over 2,100 pieces of art were entered. And thank you, board, because you guys approved us running the data literacy course, which teaches data science. And our teacher, Ms. Greenwald, had a virtual workshop with Pulitzer journalist Marche Arends, who joined the class from South Africa and discussed how she uses journalism how she uses data science in journalism and about her upcoming projects. And it really motivated our students to see real world applications with that course. And just a little fun fact. Did you know that our library has the deepest research database of any public high school in the state of PA? I did not know that. And so that's why I wanted to add that, because it's always good to know the great things that are going on here in Cheltenham. So now just talking about some academic updates as well versus our individuals. So in 23-24, I was not the principal. I was just an assistant. And when we looked at honor roll in 23-24, 42% of our students earned honor roll in the first marking period, and then 38% in the second. Last year, I started as interim. Those numbers changed to 47% in the first marking period and 43.5% in the second. Where even though we made some growth, I was still a little disappointed because of that drop from first marking period to second marking period. But it is understandable where the majority of your content is taught in that second half of the course. However, this year, we had 49% in the first marking period, and it jumped to 53% in the second marking period. So still climbing. And in same breath, our freshman academy, go back one. Our freshman academy, where first marking period, they were averaging 40%. And then in the second marking period, 2 years ago was 34, and then it went to 36. This year, under our new model at the freshman academy model, we had 46% of freshmen in the first marking period make honor roll, and 54% of freshmen made honor roll in the second marking period, which is actually also higher than our school average of the 53%. Our AP courses. In 24-25 school year, we had 642 enrollments in an AP class. And I had to word it that way because it's not students, it's enrollments. A student could be taking 4 or 5 AP classes at a time. But we had 642 AP enrollments. And at the end of this first marking period, we had 715. So that increased by about 10%. So our students are still pushing themselves to take challenging courses. I emphasize that because last year we had a lot of good results where 349 students, which was the highest in the last 5 years, took an AP exam. And then we had 581 AP exams administered, which was also the highest in the last 5 years. We had the highest number of AP students getting a 3 or better in the last 5 years at 257. And we had the highest percentage of students getting a 3 or better in the last 5 years of 73.64%. I mention that because as of right now, even though we have the AP exams coming up in May, we already have increased to 351 students registered to take an exam, and 591 exams have been requested to be purchased. So I'm anticipating some good things. And I believe also those numbers would be even higher. However, we have a strong emphasis on our dual enrollment program. And so two years ago, the 23-24 school year, only 22 students were set up for dual enrollment. Last year, that went to 37, and this year we're sitting at 99 students enrolled in dual enrollment courses. And we also have an amazing list of supports for our students at the high school. We have a mental health and wellness counselor who's also providing anxiety and stress management group for students, as well as an executive functioning group for our students. We have an Aldersgate student assistance counselor that does individual counseling at the high school. We have a drug and alcohol counseling program set up through the Lincoln Center, where they see students based more on referrals, whether it's student, parent, or disciplinary based. And we have a Lakeside counselor that provides special education counseling supports. We also have a male mentoring group that is facilitated by Chris Pender and his organization of Families and Communities on the Move. They are working currently with about approximately 16 students. And we have a female mentoring group that is called Girls Circle. Naja Ruiz is the facilitator in her organization, Pathfinders LLC. And they are wrapping up their first cohort of 11 students, and they're about to come into a second cohort of students. And with all of those highlights, and I'm sorry for those that I missed, but I just wanted to give you a snapshot of the great things that are going on at the high school. I now want to pass it off to Lori Oliveris, our Unified Art Department Chair, to talk about the amazing art that is on the wall.
Hi, I'm here to share the wonderful display of art that we just hung up a couple days ago. I'm Lori Oliveris. I teach the AP photo and digital photography, which you'll see on the back panel wall. Many of the images that are featured are from, we took 75, 80 students to New York to go see art, architecture, the Little Island, the Oculus, the 9/11 Memorial. We went to a bunch of different places. We're also taking about 80 students. We're just preparing our trip packet. We're going to go to DC to see cherry blossoms and museums and monuments this spring in April. So that's our next upcoming trip, which is AP 3D art, the Sewing and Fashion 2, our AP drawing, AP 3D, and AP photography program will be going. So we have a broad range of students going. We'll see a wide variety of different artworks. We have 3D work, we have fine arts work, we have painting, drawing, collage, we have photography, we have digital art back there from the graphic design, digital illustration, multimedia program. They're also doing t-shirt design in the graphic design program. So we have a couple of the t-shirt designs that are featured up on the panel. There'll be more in our spring art show. So we have a large spring art show, May 21st at the high school from 6 to 8 p.m. Many of these artworks are from a broad range of classes, starting with intro classes. So students who start in the craft arts, fine arts, then go up into the upper level. So it's a broad splattering of work. A few pieces have been held back because we do have our PSEA show, and that artwork gets dropped off next week. So a little bit has been held back, so you don't get to see everything, but those will be featured because Kevin does a great job advertising on social media. The teachers that are involved in our exhibit was me. My husband, Michael Oliveras, teaches the AP art. We have Marav Nezvisky, who does all our 3D art. Mary Sawyer, who does mostly family and consumer sciences and sewing and fashion, but she taught some craft arts this year, so we have a little bit of her work. Stephanie Jackson, who does all our digital design work, and she does most of the stuff back there. And Adam Farrell, who teaches our craft arts in the introductory classes, and Lauren Scheip, who teaches Art 1. So we have a broad range of works. We're looking forward to submitting our works to PSEA, which is our nice juried art competition. We initially jury at the high school as a group, and then it is juried for different prizes in different categories. We also have one award winner, which is Stephanie Cleghorn, who submitted work to the Drexel show. I went and saw the show on Sunday at Drexel, and they only hung up the judge's choice and all the award winners. So it was a 33 artworks at the Urban Center in Philly. So it was very nice. Her artwork, The Light Bulb, is at the bottom on our AP panel back there. And we also had 22 students submit work for the Woodmere Art Gallery for the Kids Care exhibit. And then the artworks were donated to children who are sick and homebound and suffering from different illnesses. It was arrived with, it was like the gift that went along with a gift that was delivered to them at the hospital or at their home, since they're not well. So 22 of our kids donated to give their artwork away. So that was a nice thing. And thank you. Take a look at all the artwork.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hammond and Ms. Oliveras, for sharing with us. I feel like we got an update. We got the arts, we got extracurriculars, we got athletics, we got academics. I think, I don't know how you could see that slideshow, hear that presentation, and not see what wonderful things are happening at our high school each and every day. So thank you to both of you for being here tonight, and to all of our staff that work hard every day for our students at the high school. Thank you.
And Ms. Oliveras and team, I just wanted to thank you for the flexibility. We weren't sure if we were going to actually be in here as we just came back recently, and the flexibility you exhibited to come in here on a Friday and get all of this up. Wanted to acknowledge that, and also your presence tonight. And Dr. Hammond, thank you, sir. And you guys are excused. You should try to get up to Ben Salem. I'm going to call Mr. White and see if you made it. And thank you for your time this evening. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. We will now move on to a more of a boring agenda item, but still very important to me, to approve our minutes from last month. So if I could have a motion to approve the January 13th minutes.
So moved, Zachary. Excitedly seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Appreciate it. Any comments or questions on the minutes? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you so much. We will now hear from one of our high school students. Ms. Stryker will come with the student council report. Hello.
Our last meeting was January About further discussion. Okay, now it's working. My name is Elizabeth Stryker. I represent Student Council. Our last meeting was January 28th. We talked about further discussion planning for Mr. Cheltenham, which we're bringing back this year, and our Magnolia Mixer, which should happen later in March. Blue and Gold Night is to be held March 6th, but we do have a prep rally on Thursday, February 12th. This year the themes are NFL versus NBA. So that's really fun because half the school is like divided. It's just a good time. The freshman dance is April 11th. Tickets are on sale now on the website. And like, it would be remiss for me not to mention that this weekend is a huge weekend for band programs. At Cheltenham High School this week, on Friday, February 13th, there's a jazz band competition. You can take your kids there, whatever. But it's really cool because you get to see like our jazz band perform and different high schools from across the district, which is really cool. And that's being held from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. And it's really cool to see like band. On that Saturday, February 14th, which is this week, there will be percussion and color guard competitions throughout the whole day. You can get tickets for $15 for adults and 10 for kids. At the very end, the Panther Guard, which I'm in, will be performing at 8:59 p.m. So feel free to stop by and like see what it's all about. It's really cool. Concessions will be sold. It's a good time all around. So I definitely encourage all of you guys to make the commute to the high school on Saturday. I know it's late, but it'll be worth it. Yeah, I conclude my statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stryker. All right, next is our solicitor's report, Mr. Diazio.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhern. The board has not met in executive session since last month's board meeting, so there is nothing to announce. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Sherman.
So good evening to our board of directors and our community at large. I want to start out by acknowledging that this is the month of February, and there's a lot of great activities that are happening to honor our Black History Month in Cheltenham School District. These are just a couple of artifacts. I'm not going to play the video, which is honoring some of the activities happening at Wyncote Elementary. Principal Teller, as always, we thank you for being present, sir, and for your leadership. Activities at the middle school. We have one of our students, which I know Mr. Charles Bedell Williams can appreciate, but also the board as a whole, who was recognized at Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. We have a component that is kind of led by the Office of Communications and Mr. Kaufman and his team, where students are a part of our Black History or our Black Student Union, are asked different questions and are able to kind of create a flashcard which represents themselves and items that resonate specifically to them as it relates to Black History Month. There's a series of about 12 of these that will be presented as we move through the month, and you will be able to review those on our webpage. This is just kind of the flyer acknowledging our Thursday, February 26th collaborative that we have. It's pretty dynamic. All the elementaries, middle, and high school come together up at the auditorium. This year, we will be having it at the middle school because it's a little more modern than the high school. So that is just one upgrade and pivot, but definitely would encourage any of our board members to push in to really see all of our students being showcased. Is pretty dynamic and a great event. So moving on, there is a lot of attention around just Cheltenham and our safety protocols and where we stand. And we had a couple of scenarios early in the year which rendered us taking some direct action. Subsequently, we had partnered with the Center for Safe Schools, where some safety assessments and behavioral assessments or audits were actually administered. I do want to give an update that thus far, and you can see it captured on the slide, that there has been a safety assessment that was held at the high school. There's been a behavioral assessment that has already been conducted at Cheltenham Elementary. CBK and Cheltenham high schools will hopefully have their behavioral assessment reports due in or completed by the 19th of this month. The Center for Safe Schools is scheduling out the remainder. You can see what has already been scheduled and what those following assessments look like. Cheltenham High School did have the safety assessment on 12/9. We do have that report in hand, which we need to take a deeper look at. The high school had the behavioral on January 6th. Cedarbrook behavioral audit on 1/7. Cheltenham Elementary, the behavioral audit on 1/8. Glenside Elementary will be having their safety audit on March 10th, and Myers will be having their safety audit on March 12th. We are in the process of working with the Center for Safe Schools to schedule the safety audit for Cheltenham Elementary, Wyncote Elementary, Cedarbrook East, and also Cedarbrook Middle School. So I will keep these as a running update for all of our legislative meetings moving forward. You will have this as part of my superintendent report, in addition to other communications that we will organize in partnership or collaboration with the Center for Safe Schools. So just wanted to bring that to the community just as a snapshot of where that work currently lies. You can go to the next slide, please. As you are aware, and it should be reflected on our consent agenda, that we are partnering with a consultant from one of our IUs on the reconfiguration of our strategic plan. We are in the third year of implementation, and the work starting in March, really through August, will be around the development of a new 5-year plan. And I just wanted to kind of high level, I'll give you an overview of potentially what that work is going to look like. Here you see the title, From Creation to Cultivation, of our 2026, 2031 plan. Next slide, please. So when you talk about the strategic shift in building systems versus deepening impact, a lot of the work, even prior to me onboarding in November of 21, was really geared around the curriculum audit that was shared in 2027. That work had began in 2015. Since my onboarding in November, we have been really attentional around systems and structures, and you've heard me consistently speak around our need to break out of silos and to be more aligned and systemic in our approach. What I'm envisioning as superintendent as we move from 2026 to 2031, and I use the word cultivation, right? Because this is a process, and that's one thing that I always want to put before individuals. we have to become more consistent with our systemic frameworks that we have put in place. And that's really what this work is going to entail. And it's a shift in really culture, climate, and mindset. We have to do things with fidelity. So when you look at that, and it speaks to the deep implementation, reducing variability, ensuring that systems and experiences are consistent. We'll just use MTS as an example, and you can go to the next slide as I'm probably getting ahead of myself, and I'm actually right on cue. When we look at MTSS, we have a framework. We've been working on that work for 3 years now. This is the 3rd year. I met with our CIPD team, curriculum, instruction, and professional development team today, and shared some of this with them high level in terms of the direction that we are moving. Having a framework is one thing. Consistently implementing it with fidelity in every one of our schoolhouses is something different. We have the framework. Where we're moving is making sure that it's being implemented with fidelity and consistency throughout each one of our schoolhouses. And I just wanted to use that as an example. Another thing which I shared was, you know, how powerful professional development is, right? But one of the challenges that you encounter is, I remember as a building administrator, we would do this incredible PD, but then when you went in to see application in the classrooms, that transference of that new material that was just learned was not evident, right? And we want to make sure that the systems, the structures that we're putting in place are evident in everything that we do. We have systems and structures now for the adoption of the high quality instructional materials. We know that we have to adopt new standards under science or stills. Ms. Gurman is not here today, but there's representatives from my Office of Ed team and central office. We really took our time with unpacking the portrait of a graduate and making sure that that community and stakeholder voice was a part of that process. We now have a pretty solid framework of what portrait of a graduate looks like. And Mr. Swigert, who was not able to be here with us this evening, is really leading that work around operations and getting to the point where we can do preventive maintenance and be proactive rather than being a reactive state. And that's a challenge for us because of the age of so many of our buildings, but somewhere that we are definitely looking at getting. Next slide, please. I laugh just to an extent because I look at the gap, right? And you know, there's an ideal state, and then there is the reality, and that's just what we unpack each and every day. So as I'm looking at this plan, I'm looking at where we currently are. The work is going to be around assessing our current state. We know that right now we have 7 pillars. The question then becomes, do we have to keep all 7 of those pillars? Some of the things that have kind of become our non-negotiables are around instruction, and how do we close the disproportionality that we see in our data amongst our disaggregated student groups. Another part is I have to figure out internally, how do we build an aspiring leader pipeline so that we always have a bench and succession planning in piece. And part of that is the continuous building of capacity of our building leaders so that they can build capacity in others. You guys as a district have always been, and I say that in this term because your equity work started before I even onboarded, but it is a core value of mine as well. But really looking at that and making sure that using our perceptual surveys and other multiple data points that there is that sense of belonging. There are no disparities as we're working on building out pathways and the programmatic pieces that we have as a district should be a representation of what all students aspire to do, where they can see themselves reflected in our programmatic offerings. And then the operation piece is just really systemically memorializing what our standard operating procedures are. We need to take a look and make sure that we have updated job descriptions for everyone that has a role in this district. As we're looking at those duties and responsibilities, making sure that we have standard operating procedures that align to those duties and responsibilities. Next slide, please. I teed this up because this aligns to equity. It's only one piece. When we talk about diversity, equity, belonging, and inclusion, this was a standalone pillar. I put this pillar here because I want to show my thinking as I'm considering putting out there the recommendation that as we're doing this work, that we go from 7 pillars to 5 pillars. But I put this slide first because this should be the underarching pillar or the underarching priority for every pillar, right? And that should be reflected in our work, in everything that we do, in questions that we ask ourselves, and decisions that we make. Again, as superintendent, I have to bring something to the table. This is not etched in stone. We haven't even gone through the process. So I want to be extremely clear that this is my thinking that I'm putting as we're developing a committee that will be a strategic plan committee that will really be responsible for moving this work. A couple things that I recognize. We have to be more explicit. We're going to make the implicit explicit around the metrics. It's important, right? We have to call out how we're going to measure our growth. And just do a better job at telling our own narrative, right? Rather than others telling that narrative for us. And using that continuously, not just to develop this plan, but also to honor the work of the plan as we're implementing. Ensuring voices are heard, people not just being present. This is just individuals that I want to be a part of the process. There are current board members that weren't core board members that were a part of the strategic plan first round. I think that it is more than acceptable to have current board members potentially sit in different capacities to have the voice heard. So it's going to be interesting to look at that, but we're going to look at our stakeholder groups, UBG, CAAA, SEEK, our PTOs, our students. We want student representation as well. I will be using my superintendent advisory student group to really get their voice and capture the work. So there's right now proposed starting in March 4 meeting opportunities where we will come together in person for the first meeting and potentially the last meeting. The 2 middle meetings we're considering doing those virtual. There will be working opportunities from us going from a larger strategic plan committee to breaking down and putting individuals in the committees based on pillars once we agree on what we feel those pillars should be. And really looking at, as we're moving through June, RPD Day with principals, really unpacking this. And as we move into August, having a robust plan that we can take from development to implementation. So you guys will have these opportunities. We'll give you snapshots as we move through the work. But I'm excited about birthing this next 5-year strategic plan. I hope that we've demonstrated that our plan is actually a working document and not something that just sits on the shelf. We're going deeper with this. Our action plans need to be more explicit, calling out the work, who's going to be responsible for that work, and then that level of accountability through the metrics of making sure that it's happening with the fidelity in which it should. So when we talk about coherence and validation, that will be the last meeting as we're really coming close at that point to having a finished product. These other slides, you guys can look at your leisure, but that brings closure to my report. And this is public data at this point in time. So, Mr. Schultz, no pictures, just cute graphics. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Dr. Scriven. For my president's report, I just briefly wanted to, I was going to not highlight in detail, but we've already heard in Dr. Scriven's report, from the student council report, and from Dr. Hammond, all of the kinds of events that are happening all the time in our community. So that's a reminder to myself, to all of us, to the community, to check that calendar, go to events. The board as a group has discussed that being a priority for us this year, being more intentional about being in our schools and in our community at events. So just a reminder to, there's a lot of awesome things happening. Additionally, the board, in addition to administrators and staff members, was invited by Dr. CJ, one of the assistant principals at Cedar Brook Middle School, to participate in a mentorship program that they're doing with students. And so some of us that had some flexibility daytime in our schedules are able to participate in that program. So I just wanted to highlight that for the community, that of a way that we are getting into our schools, seeing students, and seeing kind of every day what's going on in our buildings. And that's been, I'm able to participate in that, and it's been a really great experience so far. So thank you to Cedar Brook for allowing us to participate that way. We will now move on to committee reports, and the first one is from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. Ms. Loman.
Thank you. The Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors met on Wednesday, January 28th at 6:45 p.m. over Zoom only. The meeting was held virtually due to inclement weather. The board met in executive session prior to the public meeting to discuss personnel matters. The board received reports and voted on action items from directors of the intermediate unit's 10 offices. Highlights from the meeting include the board welcomed 6 new board members from the following school districts: Colonial, Upper Dublin, Lower Merion, Hepborough, Hersham, Sourton, and Springfield Townships. It was pretty big turnover due to the election in November. The board received 2 presentations. One was from the Office of Technology Services, which just provided an overview of the various services that it provides to districts in Montgomery County and outside Montgomery County. During this current school year, the Office of Technology Services has 247 contracts for services with 118 different local educational agencies across the state. So they are very busy, and they seem to be getting busier by the day. The other presentation was from the MCIU's Pre-K Counts program. We received an overview of the program. MCIU has been a Pre-K Counts grantee since 2017, receiving state funding to provide free, high-quality, full-day pre-K with certified teachers for children's ages 3 to 5. The program prioritizes children from Head Start eligible families. Currently, the IU operates 22 classrooms in 8 school districts in the county. Our school district has the 5th highest enrollment in the program of the 21 districts in the MCIU. Only Norristown, North Penn, which is a very large district, Upper Merion, and Abington are higher than us. And they did mention that they would love if we had the space to come back into our district. They really enjoyed it, especially they enjoyed being in Wyncote. They specifically said Wyncote. The IU continues to support that program. The board voted on whether to have the IU's administration issue a request for proposals for general counsel legal services. The IU's contract with Fox Rothschild, who is the IU's current general counsel, expires on June 30th, 2026. Fox Rothschild has been the MCIU solicitor for more than 40 years, basically ever since the formation of the IU system. And in that time, an RFP for general legal counsel services has never been issued. After an extended discussion, however, the board voted 11-9 not to issue an RFP this year. If you want to know more about that, I'd be happy to provide that offline. The 2026-27 district membership services budget was approved in the amount of $2,042,200, $2,042,210 for the period of July 1st, 26 to June 30th, 2027. Tonight, we're actually voting on whether to approve our district's contribution of $58,424, which represents a 4.37 increase over our 25-26 contribution. The increase is due primarily to an increase in the contribution level to the Office of Technology Services. Licenses and everything seems to be going up in that area. So there was also a smaller increase for government relations services in the Office of Professional Learning, but overall for us, it amounts to a 4.37 increase. The board authorized Patan to enter into a consultant agreement with the Special Olympics of Pennsylvania to provide support to SOPA Interscholastic Unified Sports Program. The board authorized several consultants agreements with presenters who will be presenting at the upcoming Pennsylvania Department of Education's annual conference, Making a Difference, Educational Practices at Work, that will be held on February 25th to the 27th in Hershey. The Project Aware grant, which is a large federal grant that the IU received a couple of years ago to support mental health screening and awareness in schools, and we have been the beneficiary and a participant in some of the grant activities. In the span of like 24 hours, was canceled and then reinstated. So this grant is now still in place and will be continuing, as far as the IU knows, at least through September 30th of this year, which was a relief to everyone involved. And the final thing is that the board authorized the IU to enter into a service agreement with our district to provide functional behavioral assessments from January 6th through June 30th of this year on an as needed basis. And the next MCIU board meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 25th at 6:45 in person at the IU's main office in Norristown and also Overton. This is my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Financial Affairs, Mr. Epps.
Thanks. Greetings, everyone. It's the Financial Affairs Committee, aka if you saw Jerry McGuire, show me the money. And that's what we got to talk about. We talked about monthly and historical financial statements in both a point in time and throughout the course of the year. The Financial Committee meeting is recorded for anyone who would like to go and watch on YouTube. We also talked about the preliminary 2026-2027 budget, and I don't want to alarm anyone, but there is a significant projected shortfall that the district is continuing to navigate and explore. And so there will be many more conversations around the financial standing of the district in the upcoming years. And we do welcome public input from students, parents, community members alike. And so that is just the start of a conversation. I don't want to say all the numbers and things like that, because that could change from now over the next couple of months. So the preliminary budget is just that. It's a very early conversation around what some projections are actually for the next 5 years. If you go and look online on board docs, you can see some projections for the next 5 years. We also talked about some board action that you'll notice on our agenda tonight. The one item is for a scoreboard at the football stadium. Another action item is approving or considering a resolution for a capital grant from the state. You heard from Ms. Loman around the MCIU budget that we are considering tonight. And also, as you heard from our superintendent, on our agenda tonight is also approve of a contract to move forward with the strategic planning efforts through another ICU in Bucks County, our neighboring county. So there are a number of items that we are considering tonight that we discussed at our financial affairs meeting. And so if anyone wants to know before we make our decisions, why we're making certain decisions or ask about certain decisions, those financial committee meetings are where you want to be. The next meeting is on, oh my gosh. Thank you, March 3rd, because there's only March 3rd, 2026. It'll be held here at the admin building or streamed live via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Educational Affairs, Ms. Blitzstein.
Thank you. The Educational Affairs Committee meeting was held on January 20th, 2026 here at the administration building. The following agenda items were discussed. We began with a presentation on Algebra 1 placement criteria, which is being compressed from 6 criteria currently to 3 as the district attempts to remove barriers to study mathematics. Our supervisor of curriculum and instruction for elementary, Caitlin Ferraro, next walked the board through the process used to identify high quality instructional texts for English language arts. And the rest of the meeting featured a report on progress on the strategic plan. We heard from administrators who presented completed and future tasks within the plan's 7 pillars. The full presentation for the January 20th meeting may be found on the district's website homepage by clicking on the school board, then committees, scroll down to educational affairs, and click on the hyperlink for most recent meeting summary, slide deck, and video for all the materials that were viewed as well as the recorded meeting. The next educational affairs meeting is a week from tonight, February 17th at 7 p.m. here at the admin building and on Zoom. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Blitzstein. Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, Mr. Burdell Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And although Dr. Hammond and Dr. Scriven tried to steal some of my shine in terms of highlighting Cheltenham students and the excellence that they exude as students at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, in addition to Giovanni Francis, who was shown as one of the students highlighted under Eastern's Black History Month Spotlight. Also, wanted to mention Miss Michaela Dupree, who was also highlighted as a part of Eastern's Black History Spotlight. Eastern does a fantastic job at each and every month highlighting students for all of the awesome things they do in and outside of Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. And in Black History Month, they are doing so by highlighting Black students who are doing such. The next order of business for the Joint Operating Committee was to approve our Student of the Month, who was Gretchen Lynn, a Springfield Township High School senior, who was recognized for her outstanding work in Eastern's Welding Technology program. At Eastern, Gretchen was elected as a school-wide officer for the PM session, serving as reporter. She is an active Eastern volunteer, providing welding technology demonstrations during the Open House and Career Expo, and assisting at Eastern's annual Designer Bag Bingo and Craft Fair. Every year, Designer Bag Bingo and Craft Fair for everyone listening, by the way. All of the proceeds from both of those events support Eastern's Student Education Foundation. Through her welding technology program, she has also earned her OSHA 10 training certification. Gretchen's also a member of Eastern's Women in Trades Club, who last year spoke to a group of female students in a STEM club at Keith Valley Middle School in Hatboro Horsham, and continues to advocate on behalf of women in trades. And when you had a chance to listen to Gretchen, if you want to go and watch the meeting, you'll hear the passion that she has for this advocacy. At Springfield Township High, Gretchen stands out as a leader and an athlete. She serves as captain of the varsity water polo team, proud member of National Honor Society, and has been recognized both as a Student Athlete of the Month and Suburban One League Athlete of the Week. After graduating from Eastern and Springfield Township High, she plans to attend either Rutgers or University of Delaware for mechanical engineering. Moving on into the more exciting, or maybe not as exciting part of the agenda, the JOC approved Dr. Posnarski's attendance at the NCLA Women in CTE Leadership Summit in Dallas, which is coming up in March, where she was personally invited to help share shape programming and serve as a panelist. Dr. Posnarski is very involved in state and national CTE leadership organizations, including being the current president of the Pennsylvania Association of Career and Technical Administrators. We also approved an expanded learning opportunity for allied health students to attend an anatomy tournament at the Pennsylvania College of State of Technology, along with Skills USA State Officer Training, in addition to the actual Skills USA competition that itself, where Eastern had 66 students, including those from Cheltenham who advanced in their specific program of focus. The JOC gratefully accepted donations from Caliber Collision to support the collision repair program, as well as from Upper Dublin Township Police for protective services. This is something that I think goes maybe underappreciated about the community that supports Eastern, right? There are 9 sending districts in Eastern Montgomery County. So a lot of opportunities for small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses to be able to support the organization through donations, and they consistently do so. And it provides awesome opportunity for the students. We also accepted the first reading of policy C-112, which clarifies some disenrollment procedures when a student enrolls in charter schools. On personnel matters, we approved a culinary arts substitute teacher, practical nursing adjunct instructor, as well as internship supervisors for students in electrical and construction technology. Finally, big major piece of business, as you've heard from me over the last few months, related to expanding Eastern's programming. The practical nursing relocation project bid was approved, as well as the 2024 financial audit report. And the next meeting of the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology is tomorrow, February 11th at 8 p.m. in the virtual setting. The link to the meeting can be found on Eastern's website at eastech.org. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Facilities report, Dr. Watts.
Yep. The Facilities Committee meeting was held on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, approximately 1 week after Snowmageddon, which the Facilities Department was dealing with along with the rest of the township. So number 1 on the agenda was the discussion of the district-wide winter storm cleanup. On top of everything else that Facilities has been trying to accomplish, a deep freeze was not in the calculus. So we reviewed all of the work that they did mightily to clean up our schools and make things safe for kids and adults to come back into the buildings, and appreciate that. It does the extent of this unique experience we're all having and hopefully getting out of for the last month. May, as we will notice, have an impact on timelines for outdoors facilities work. And that is something that the administration is monitoring along with the team and Mr. Carter. And so we appreciate everyone's patience and support while Mother Nature does her thing. At the same time, the administration building's boiler steam leak was being addressed. And so new challenges with those repairs came up, and requiring our staff needing to be relocated briefly. We appreciate everyone's patience and generosity in accommodating the staff in different buildings. We got everyone back in here. It is significantly warmer in here than it has been, but final repairs will be done this coming Monday while the rest of the district is on break to reduce the disruption. And our last agenda item was the Elkins Park Roller Hockey Rink Grant. As former youth hockey mom. I was excited to see that the Flyers Charities has granted some funds for the roller rink at EP to be renovated, renovations to the courts, the stands, the boards. And so on the consent agenda tonight is approval, accepting that grant and approval of the renovations. One other facilities related item that Mr. Epps mentioned on the consent agenda is the scoreboard at the football stadium, and the decision was made to replace the existing scoreboard with one that has the same functionalities rather than upgrading with significant new additional cost. And so that'll be on the consent agenda, full presentation on the website. And the next meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 3rd. Good Lord. It's not going that quickly, at 7 p.m. in person and on Zoom. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. And I will be providing the report from the liaison group. The liaison group met via Zoom on February 2nd with representatives from the school district and the township. We discussed traffic calming and walker safety items at Cheltenham Elementary School. We discussed snow removal. It's been a common theme, I think, for a lot of meetings and ways that perhaps the township and the district can work together going forward to work smarter, not harder. We also established a meeting schedule for 2026. Got an update from the township on the Melrose Country Club property and the project there with building new homes. We share stadium project updates, and our next meeting will be March 16th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. And that concludes that report. The next report is policy. I believe Ms. Murphy is giving us that report.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The policy committee meeting met on January 27th, 26. The minutes of the meeting on 11/13 were approved. There was no old business, but new business consisted of 14 policies and ARs under review and discussion. They are 2 weapons policies, federal fiscal compliance, student government, care of school property, student records, public attendance in school facilities, travel reimbursement, attendance, purchases, and approval of contracts, district audit, postgraduate students, property records, and disposal of district-owned property. The next policy committee meeting is scheduled for March 24th, 2026, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Legislative, Mr. Epps.
Thank you, Mrs. Muller. Greetings again, everyone. I'm reporting now as a member of the Montgomery County Legislative Committee. We meet periodically to discuss both proposed and adopted legislation that impacts education, especially here in Cheltenham. And so we met for our first meeting of the year and for the last few months. We were joined by Representative Joe Webster, who is our neighbor here in Montgomery County, just a few neighborhoods over. He was able to join us. I was able to ask him directly around the tax equity funding mechanism, given that Cheltenham, under the recent proposal in the last couple of years, there's a couple of pots of funds. There's the adequacy, which is intended to sort of be address the Supreme Court's decision around adequate funding for schools. And then there's a tax equity supplement that tries to address areas that are really tax burdened, but not actually not a gap in terms of constitutionally adequately funding the school. So the tax equity supplement is something we have benefited from for the last 2 years. We actually have an item on our board agenda tonight around the resolution, which actually increases the number of funds we have. But I was able to talk with him directly around just what that means for us moving forward, given it's 1 year after we've made our decisions. And so that is a conversation that's continuing to be had in Harrisburg. There are no significant changes to the process being proposed right now, but it is I think I can say there are some concerns that still need to be addressed with that funding model. So that's something we need to follow closely, because again, if you'll see in our agenda, a little more than $2.2 million we're able to receive through the tax equity supplement funding model. So something we want to follow and continue to advocate for. Also, we heard again, cyber charter reform is still a topic of conversation in Harrisburg. And actually, it's another area where Cheltenham could realize significant savings year to year, particularly around tuition with special students who receive special accommodations. So that is another topic that will continue to be discussed in Harrisburg. And then also, just over the last couple of days, the superintendent's group actually sent out a letter to our folks in Harrisburg advocating to modernize some of the rules and requirements. Right now, we have to post things in printed newspapers. And so in 2026, there's some advocacy to hopefully bring us to the times and make that requirement a little less onerous. That is the main highlights from our legislative committee. We do have a legislative breakfast coming up in March. The marvelous Miss Gwendolyn Hatcher has already sent us information around that. So I believe it's March 6th. We need to RSVP by. That is our annual chance to go and talk with legislators in person, break some bread. Students are invited. And so hopefully we'll be well represented there as well. I'm looking at you all as if you'll be there, but it could be you all. So look out for more information. Reply to Mrs. Hatcher, board members around that. And then there's also Harrisburg Advocacy Day, which is planned for April, late April, early May. That's a chance to actually go to Harrisburg and talk to folks face to face, which we don't get to do that often, but there are folks in Harrisburg every single day lobbying legislators for whatever direction they want to go. But cyber charter reform is one area that gets constant attention, but not in the advocacy not in the direction that we want to advocate for. So we want to make sure that any opportunity we do, we get face to face with those folks voting. And so anyone listening, we have Representative Napoleon Nelson, who is a growing influence in Harrisburg. He's the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, as well as a member of the Education Committee. We have State Senator Art Haywood, who's a member of the Appropriations Committee. And so a lot of the things that I'm talking about in terms of financial and both legislative policy, they're on the committees that have a very clear role. So reach out to them. They are welcoming of all voices for input and suggestions. And please do continue to be involved in any way that you see can.
Thank you, Mr. Epps. Last committee report is a new one for us, but the Cheltenham Education Foundation, we have had a liaison to this group for quite some time, but have not reported in a formal way, but we are going to start doing that. So Dr. Watts, first report for.
I'm pleased to make the report for Cheltenham Education Foundation. The Education Foundation Board last met on January 28th, and the main item they would like shared is to highlight their spring event, the third annual Race for Education. That's going to be held on Saturday, April 11th, 2026, and the flyer is attached to the board minutes. You can also get all of the information about the race, registration, and donation information at cheltenhamraceforeducation.com. The event is a professionally timed 5K or 2-mile walk along Tupelo Creek Parkway. There were a number of us last year as a primary candidate. I met a number of you for the first time at that event. The community event raises funds that help fund scholarships for graduating seniors and supports K-12 classroom innovation through teacher grants across the district. Last year, the foundation gave out $21,000 in scholarships. So this is a significant source of support for our students and their journeys. In 2025, we had 300 registrants and the race made approximately $13,000, up from 260 runners and 9,000 in the first year. So they want to keep building and getting everyone out. The school board has formed a team. Thank you, Vice President Lohman, and set a fundraising goal, and several of us have already registered to run again. I know that Mr. Burdell Williams is seeking to achieve his same strong outcome again. And we look forward to seeing others of you there. Maybe other teams will be formed, having heard about this. So again, CheltenhamRaceForEducation.com is where you can get the information. The next board meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 25th. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. Next on the agenda is approval of our agenda items in the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Bell Williams, do I have a second?
Second.
Miss Dr. Watts got the second. Okay. Any comments? Ms. Flitstein?
Yes, thank you so much. I want to highlight a couple of things that I see. One, again, I'd love to shout out to our volunteers who are on our approval list. We've got 15 people here who worked hard to get all of their materials in. It is no easy feat, so we really appreciate that. And I am going to call out my own mother who's on that list. Thank you very much. It takes a village. But I also want to point out that we are sending teachers and administrators to a really wide variety of trainings to meet the needs of our students from K to 12. We have people going to PD around fluency, word recognition training for ESOL teachers, math courses for struggling math students in grades 10 through 12, the PA Tech Education Expo, like just all over the place. And it just makes me really happy. I'm also really excited to see our phys ed and health teachers going to learn about the new health standards that were released in 2024. I know that as a board, as a community member, as a board member, as a parent, health education is very important to me. And I'm really happy to see both the standards slowly catching up to present day, and for our teachers to be trained in how to teach to those standards. So applause for all of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Burdell Williams?
Yeah, thank you. Just two things. One, just not necessarily stealing any words from Mr. Epps, who, did express just recognition related to the public school facility improvement grant opportunity. The community may or may not remember, but last year we had a similar grant that helped significantly offset the cost of the partial roof replacement at Cheltenham High School, which was well overdue. That project was executed on time and on budget, and I'm happy that the vast majority of those funds came from this grant award from last year. So excited to be, moving forward with this year's application and hoping that we do get an award, because there are opportunities for us that I would like to be able to take advantage of. And actually, that's the one that I had particularly at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comment? All right, I will call for a vote then. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That motion carries. And we will move on to public comment on non-agenda items. Again, any Cheltenham resident, taxpayer, or school district employee is permitted to speak on non-agenda items at this time. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you are in the room, you may come to the podium. If you're listening streaming, you may raise your hand and you will be recognized. Please state your name and where you reside in the township before you speak. Seeing no comments for tonight, we will move on. The next item is information about upcoming meetings. All of our committee and legislative meetings for the next few months are all listed there. So please check those out so that you know what meetings you would like to attend. You are welcome at all of them. And with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn. Yes. Yes.
Just a clarifying question. I apologize for only noticing this after we voted and not during pre-read, but under approval of agenda items, we are currently listing the first read policies. We did not just approve those first read policies, correct? It's
Correct.
listed under the consent agenda.
Just for.
I just wanted to clarify, we did not approve those policies, their first read,
Correct.
and we can,
They'll be back
They'll be
after
back.
the next policy committee.
thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then I will make them, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for clarification, when we have policies come to us, they come for a first read first, and that's just for a chance to view them, look at them. They are not approved until they come back for a second read, just for everyone's understanding.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
absolutely. And so moved.
So, all right, a second.
Second.
So, thank you, Mr. Epps. The meeting is adjourned.